The massive human warship materialized from the seventh dimension, silencing the mocking laughter of the Elysian ambassador Rigel. In an instant, humanity's perceived technological inferiority vanished, replaced by awe and fear among the assembled alien races. The year was 2157, and Earth's delegation sat in uncomfortable silence at the Galactic Conference. Rigel, the arrogant Elysian diplomat, stood at the podium, his final barbs still echoing through the chamber. And so, esteemed colleagues, we see once again that humanity's feeble attempts at space exploration barely qualify them for a seat at this table. Christian Reyes, a brilliant human physicist with disheveled hair and a glint in his eye, remained seated among Earth's representatives. His fingers twitched over a small device concealed in his pocket. As Rigel's speech concluded, Reyes pressed the activation switch. The conference chamber shook. Alien diplomats stumbled, their appendages grasping for support. A deafening hum filled the air, growing in intensity until it abruptly ceased. In the viewing screens above, a colossal vessel shimmered into existence, dwarfing the Elysian ships in orbit. Chaos erupted. Diplomats shouted in a cacophony of alien languages. Rigel's smug expression crumbled, replaced by disbelief and fear. "Impossible," he stammered. "No race has achieved transdimensional travel. Explain this deception." Reyes stood, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the pandemonium around him. "There is no deception, Ambassador Rigel. Humanity has simply been discreet about our advancements." The human warship's presence sent shockwaves through the gathered races. Its sleek design spoke of technological mastery beyond anything the Elysians had achieved. Visible weapon ports pulsed with energy, while shimmering force fields hinted at impenetrable defenses. Elysian military vessels moved to intercept, weapons charging. The human ship's response was swift and decisive. Beams of light lanced out, not destroying the Elysian craft, but rendering them inert. The message was clear. Humanity could have obliterated them, but chose restraint. Reyes stepped forward, addressing the stunned audience. "For too long, humanity has endured your ridicule and dismissal. We've been quietly working, pushing the boundaries of physics and dimensional theory. This ship represents but a fraction of what we've achieved." The alien diplomats scrambled to reassess their stance. Races that had previously ignored Earth now clamored for audience with its representatives. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted in mere moments. Rigel, his arrogance shattered, approached Reyes. "How? The seventh dimension was thought to be inaccessible." "Thought to be," Reyes replied, "by those who lacked the vision to see beyond conventional limitations. Humanity has always excelled at achieving the impossible." As the implications sank in, panic spread among the alien races. Earth, long dismissed as a backwater planet, now stood as a potential threat to the entire galactic order. The human delegates, once ignored, found themselves at the center of frantic diplomatic negotiations. Reyes, now humanity's de facto spokesperson, faced the daunting task of navigating this new interstellar landscape. The fate of Earth and its place in the galaxy rested on his shoulders. Back on Earth, news of the event spread rapidly. Humans reacted with a mix of pride, apprehension, and wonder. Their species, long thought inferior, had emerged as an unexpected powerhouse in the cosmic arena. The laughter had stopped. The mockery had ceased. As the human warship loomed over the conference, one thing became abundantly clear: humanity would no longer be underestimated. As the human warship loomed over the conference, the galaxy held its breath. The revelation of Earth's technological prowess sent ripples through every corner of known space, upending centuries of established power dynamics. In the days that followed, Earth's governments found themselves thrust into a whirlwind of activity. The United Nations convened an emergency session, grappling with the sudden shift in humanity's cosmic status. After intense debate and negotiation, they formed the Interstellar Affairs Council, IAC, a new body tasked with managing Earth's extraterrestrial relations and overseeing the integration of advanced technologies. Christian Reyes, the physicist whose activation of the dimensional ship had changed everything, found himself at the center of this new paradigm. The IAC appointed him as Earth's chief diplomat and technological liaison to the galactic community. Reyes, more accustomed to quantum equations than political maneuvering, approached his new role with a mix of trepidation and willpower. "Dr. Reyes," said the UN Secretary General during a private meeting, "you've opened a door we can't close. The fate of our species now rests on how we navigate this new reality." Reyes nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I understand. We'll need to be careful, strategic. The galaxy is watching our every move." Meanwhile, light years away, the Elysian Empire faced its own turmoil. The grand halls of the imperial palace echoed with heated arguments and recriminations. Ambassador Rigel, once the embodiment of Elysian superiority, now stood before the High Council, his posture deflated. "You have brought shame upon our empire," growled Empress Zelana, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anger. "Your arrogance and failure to properly assess the humans have left us vulnerable." Rigel opened his mouth to protest, but a sharp gesture from the Empress silenced him. "You are hereby stripped of your position and titles. Leave my sight." As Rigel slunk away, Grand Admiral Zorbax stepped forward, his tentacles twitching with nervous energy. "Your Majesty, we must act swiftly. The humans possess technology that could render our defenses obsolete. I propose an immediate military buildup to counter this threat." The Empress considered for a moment, then nodded. "Proceed, Admiral. Mobilize every shipyard, every factory. We will not allow the humans to eclipse our power." Back on Earth, the veil of secrecy surrounding the dimensional travel breakthrough began to lift. Dr. Marcus Rice, a man whose brilliant mind was matched only by his unkempt appearance, stood before a panel of world leaders and scientists. Holographic displays flickered around him, showcasing schematics and data streams. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rice began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of his words, "I present to you Project Hyperion. For the past decade, we've been working in secret, pushing the boundaries of dimensional theory and quantum mechanics." Gasps and murmurs filled the room as Rice revealed the project's base, a massive underwater complex hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. "This facility has been our home, our laboratory, and our launching pad into the cosmos." As Earth cautiously began sharing some of its technological advancements with allied alien races, a new figure emerged on the global stage. Captain James Hawthorne, a man whose piercing gaze and scarred face spoke of battles won and lost, stood on the bridge of the ESS Leonidas. The ship, humanity's first official interstellar warship, hummed with power as it prepared for its maiden voyage. Hawthorne's second-in-command, Lieutenant Maria Chen, approached with a datapad. "Sir, we've received our orders from the IAC. They want us to conduct a series of dimensional jumps near key Elysian military installations." Hawthorne's lips curled into a grim smile. "A show of force, then. Let's give them a demonstration they won't forget." The ESS Leonidas, flanked by a small fleet of Earth's new dimensional ships, embarked on its mission. In a series of precisely calculated maneuvers, they appeared and disappeared near Elysian bases and shipyards, each time staying just long enough to be detected before vanishing again. On the Elysian homeworld, Grand Admiral Zorbax watched the sensor readings with growing dread. "Impossible," he muttered, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "They're toying with us, showing us how easily they could strike." The demonstration had its intended effect, sending shockwaves through the Elysian military and political establishments, but it also polarized the galactic community. Some races, impressed by humanity's capabilities, eagerly sought alliances and trade agreements with Earth. Others, particularly those aligned with the Elysians, viewed humanity's rise with suspicion and fear. In a dimly lit chamber on the planet Drakkar Prime, representatives from a dozen alien races gathered in secret. The reptilian Drakkari, their scales shimmering in the low light, led the discussion. "The humans have upset the balance of power," hissed Supreme Commander Salak. "If left unchecked, they could dominate us all. We must form a coalition to counter their influence." As the galaxy realigned itself around Earth's new position, internal challenges began to arise on humanity's home planet. In the halls of government and on public forums, heated debates raged about how to wield this newfound power. Senator Elena Rodriguez stood before the UN General Assembly, her voice passionate. We have an opportunity to usher in an era of peace and cooperation. Our technology should be a bridge, not a weapon. Her opponent, General William Stark, countered with equal fervor. We've been dismissed and belittled for too long. It's time we claim our rightful place as leaders of the galaxy, by force if necessary. This ideological divide threatened to fracture Earth's united front in galactic affairs, a weakness that did not go unnoticed by watchful alien eyes. Amidst this turmoil, Dr. Marcus Rice made a discovery that would once again reshape humanity's understanding of the cosmos. In his laboratory beneath the Pacific, he pored over data from the seventh dimensional travels, his eyes widening as patterns emerged. "This can't be," he whispered, double-checking his findings. "The technology, it's not ours, not entirely." Rice's discovery of evidence pointing to an ancient, highly advanced civilization sent ripples through the scientific community and beyond. Questions about the true origins of the dimensional travel capabilities arose, along with concerns about potential dangers lurking in unexplored dimensions. As news of this revelation spread, both human and alien factions scrambled to uncover more information about this mysterious precursor civilization. The race to claim or control any remnants of this ancient technology added yet another layer of complexity to the already volatile galactic situation. In the depths of space, aboard the ESS Leonidas, Captain Hawthorne received a coded transmission from Earth. As he decrypted the message, his expression grew grave. The ship's dimensional drive hummed to life, preparing for another jump into the unknown. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity's next move would be. The message from Earth crackled through the ship's comm system, its urgency palpable even through the static. Captain Hawthorne's eyes narrowed as he processed the information. "All hands to battle stations," he commanded, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across the control panel, bringing the ship's systems to full alert. "Sir, what's happening?" Hawthorne's gaze remained fixed on the monitor, where the vast emptiness of space seemed to mock their sudden urgency. "An unidentified object has appeared at the edge of our solar system. It's bigger than anything we've ever encountered." As the crew of the ESS Leonidas prepared for the unknown, similar scenes played out across Earth's newly established space fleet. The Interstellar Affairs Council, caught off guard by this new development, convened an emergency session. In the IAC's Situation Room, holographic displays flickered to life, showing real-time data streams from Earth's long-range sensors. Christian Reyes, his face etched with concern, studied the readings intently. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before," he muttered, more to himself than to the room at large. "It's not natural, that's for certain." General Stark, his military uniform crisp despite the late hour, leaned forward. "Then we must assume it's a threat. I recommend immediate defensive action." Reyes shook his head. "We can't just go in guns blazing, General. This could be a first contact situation. We need more information." As the debate raged on, a decision was reached. The ESS Leonidas, along with a support fleet, would embark on a reconnaissance mission to investigate the object. Aboard the Leonidas, Captain Hawthorne briefed his crew. "We're heading into unknown territory," he said, his voice carrying through the ship's intercom. "Stay alert, stay focused. We don't know what we're dealing with, but I trust each and every one of you to handle whatever comes our way." As the Earth fleet prepared for departure, an unexpected transmission cut through the tension. Grand Admiral Zorbax of the Elysian Empire appeared on the main view screen, his tentacles writhing with what humans had learned to recognize as agitation. "Humans," Zorbax began, his translator struggling to convey the complexity of Elysian speech, "we have also detected this anomaly. We propose a temporary alliance to face this potential threat together." The proposal sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. After hours of heated debate, a reluctant agreement was reached. The human fleet would rendezvous with Elysian forces at the edge of the solar system. As the joint fleet approached the massive object, the true scale of it became apparent. It dwarfed even the largest known celestial bodies, its surface covered in intricate shifting patterns that seemed to defy analysis. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice tight with tension. "Our sensors are malfunctioning. We're losing communication with Earth." Captain Hawthorne's eyebrows furrowed. He knew the risks of using their most advanced technology in front of the Elysians, but the situation demanded decisive action. "Prepare the seventh dimensional drive," he ordered. The Elysian ships watched in stunned silence as the Leonidas shimmered and reappeared closer to the object. Even with their advanced technology, the humans had managed to surprise them once again. As they drew nearer, the object revealed itself to be an enormous space station. Its alien architecture defied conventional understanding, with structures that seemed to fold in on themselves in impossible ways. Suddenly, a section of the station opened like a gaping maw. Before anyone could react, a powerful tractor beam activated, pulling both human and Elysian ships towards the opening. "Activate the seventh dimensional drive," Hawthorne shouted, but Chen's response chilled him to the bone. "It's not responding, sir. Something's interfering with it." As the ships were inexorably drawn into the cavernous docking bay, humans and Elysians alike found themselves facing a common predicament. The interior of the station was a labyrinth of ever-shifting corridors and chambers, with gravity that seemed to follow its own rules. Dr. Marcus Rice, who had insisted on joining the expedition, stared in wonder at the walls around them. "These patterns," he muttered, his fingers tracing the air in front of intricate glowing symbols. "They're similar to our dimensional travel calculations, but far more complex." Captain Hawthorne turned to the Elysian commander, a being whose name was unpronounceable to human tongues. "It seems we're in this together now," he said, extending a hand in a gesture of alliance. The Elysian hesitated for a moment before extending a tentacle in return. "Indeed," it replied through its translator, "our survival may depend on our cooperation." As the joint human-Elysian team ventured deeper into the station, they encountered automated defense systems that reacted to their presence with lethal force. Beams of energy that defied known physics lashed out at them, forcing the group to use a combination of human ingenuity and Elysian technology to survive. During one such encounter, an Elysian soldier pushed Lieutenant Chen out of the path of an energy beam, taking the hit itself. As Chen helped the injured alien to safety, a newfound respect began to form between the two species. The deeper they went, the stranger their surroundings became. Entire sections of the station seemed to rearrange themselves, forcing the team to constantly adapt their strategy. They encountered biomechanical creatures that appeared to be part of the station itself, maintenance drones of some ancient, unknowable design. Dr. Rice's excitement grew with each new discovery. "This technology," he exclaimed, his eyes wild with the thrill of scientific breakthrough. "It's beyond anything we've imagined. The beings who built this, they must have been gods." Back on Earth, the loss of contact with the expedition fleet had thrown the planet into a state of high alert. The IAC, faced with a potential existential threat, initiated Protocol Omega. Every resource, every piece of advanced technology was mobilized in preparation for a possible invasion. As factories worldwide shifted to war production and civilian populations were briefed on emergency procedures, the true scale of humanity's advancement became clear. Technologies that had been kept secret for years were now brought to light, revealing a level of preparedness that surprised even some high-ranking officials. In orbit around Earth, a new fleet of ships began to take shape. These vessels, incorporating the latest in seventh-dimensional technology, represented humanity's last line of defense against the unknown threat. As Earth prepared for the worst and the expedition team delved deeper into the alien station, the fate of not just humanity, but perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The true nature of the station, its creators, and its purpose remained shrouded in mystery, leaving both humans and Elysians to face an uncertain future that would require all of their combined strength, intelligence, and newfound cooperation to overcome. The joint human-Elysian team pressed deeper into the alien station, their footsteps echoing through corridors that seemed to shift and change with each passing moment. Captain Hawthorne led the way, his hand resting on his sidearm, while Dr. Rice trailed behind, his eyes darting from one incomprehensible structure to another. Suddenly, the narrow passageway opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. At its center stood an enormous crystal structure, pulsating with energy that sent waves of light cascading across the room's curved walls. Dr. Rice's eyes widened as he approached the crystal, his handheld scanner beeping frantically. "Incredible," he breathed, studying the readouts. "The energy patterns. They're remarkably similar to what we've observed in our seventh-dimensional travel experiments." Captain Hawthorne frowned, his gaze fixed on the crystal. "What are you saying, Doctor?" "I believe this crystal might be the key to unlocking even more advanced dimensional travel capabilities," Rice explained, his voice trembling with excitement. "It's far beyond anything we've achieved, but the underlying principles appear to be the same." The Elysian commander chittered something to his subordinates, the translator struggling to keep up with the rapid alien speech. "We should destroy it," came the eventual translation. "It's too dangerous." "No!" Dr. Rice protested, stepping between the Elysians and the crystal. "This could be the greatest scientific discovery in human history. We need to study it, understand it." Captain Hawthorne held up a hand, silencing the argument before it could escalate. "We need more information before we make any decisions," he said firmly. He turned to Dr. Rice. "Is there any way we can communicate with the station systems through this crystal?" Rice nodded slowly, his mind already racing with possibilities. "We might be able to use a modified version of our dimensional travel tech to establish a connection. It's risky, but—" "Do it," Hawthorne ordered. The next hour was a flurry of activity as Rice and his team worked to interface their equipment with the alien technology. Finally, with a deep breath, the doctor activated the makeshift communication device. The crystal flared with blinding light, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When they looked again, a holographic projection filled the air around them, displaying fragments of information in a language none of them recognized. "It's some kind of historical record," Rice muttered, his fingers flying over his tablet as he attempted to decipher the data. "This station, it wasn't built by any of the races we know. It was created by an ancient civilization called the Precursors." The holographic images shifted, showing beings of pure energy constructing massive structures that defied the laws of physics. They had mastered travel between dimensions and galaxies, Rice continued, his voice filled with awe. But they faced a threat, something they called the Void Seekers. The projection changed again, displaying scenes of destruction on a cosmic scale. Entire galaxies winked out of existence, consumed by writhing tentacles of darkness. "The Void Seekers could devour entire civilizations," Rice explained, his face pale. "The Precursors built this station as both a refuge and a weapon against them." Before anyone could react to this revelation, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The biomechanical creatures they had encountered earlier began pouring into the room, their metallic limbs screeching against the floor. "Defensive positions!" Hawthorne shouted, drawing his weapon. Humans and Elysians alike scrambled for cover, forming a protective circle around the crystal. As the battle raged, Hawthorne noticed something strange. Every time he focused on a particular section of the room, the station's defenses seemed to respond, targeting the creatures with precision. He realized with a start that his neural implants were interfacing with the station systems, giving him limited control. Using this newfound ability, Hawthorne directed the station's internal defenses, turning the tide of the battle. Energy beams lanced out from hidden emplacements, vaporizing the attacking creatures. As the last of the biomechanical attackers fell, an uneasy silence settled over the chamber. The Elysian commander approached Hawthorne, its tentacles writhing with agitation. "This station is too dangerous," it said through the translator. "We must destroy the crystal before it can cause more harm." Dr. Rice immediately protested. "We can't. The crystal's destruction could have catastrophic consequences. It might even unleash the Void Seekers." The argument escalated, threatening to tear apart the fragile human-Elysian alliance. As voices raised and tensions mounted, a low hum began to emanate from the crystal. The pulsing light grew more intense, and energy readings spiked off the charts. "The station's powering up," Rice shouted over the din. "It's preparing for some kind of large-scale operation." Hawthorne, still connected to the station's systems, was suddenly bombarded with fragmented visions. He saw a massive interdimensional portal forming, large enough to swallow entire star systems. "We need to do something now," he yelled. Dr. Rice's eyes lit up with a dangerous idea. "The seventh dimensional drives on our ship," he said quickly. "If we use them in conjunction with the crystal, we might be able to stabilize and control the forming portal." Hawthorne nodded, immediately grasping the implications. "We could direct it away from populated areas, buy ourselves some time to figure out what's really going on here." The captain opened a channel to the human fleet. "All ships, move into formation around the crystal. Prepare to activate your seventh dimensional drives on my mark." The Elysian commander hesitated for a moment before grudgingly ordering his own ships to provide support. As the combined fleet took position, the energy emanating from the crystal reached a fever pitch. "Now!" Hawthorne shouted. The ship's drives hummed to life, creating a complex network of energy fields around the station. The strain on both machines and crews was immense as they fought to contain and direct the swirling energies of the forming portal. For a moment, it seemed as if their efforts would be in vain. The portal grew larger, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of spacetime. Hawthorne, his mind still linked to the station's systems, frantically searched for a solution. Suddenly, a sequence of coordinates flashed through his mind, data from the precursors buried deep within the station's memory banks. Without hesitation, he input the coordinates into the system. The effect was immediate. The chaotic energies of the portal coalesced, focusing into a coherent beam. A blinding light engulfed the station and the surrounding fleet. When the light faded, Hawthorne blinked in disbelief. The familiar starscape outside the station's viewports had been replaced by an alien sky, filled with celestial bodies he didn't recognize. "Where are we?" Dr. Rice asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Hawthorne shook his head, still trying to process what had happened. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I think we've just crossed more than just distance. We might be in another dimension entirely." As the realization of what they had done sank in, a new sense of urgency filled the chamber. They had escaped immediate danger, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited them in this unknown realm? The crystal pulsed once more, as if in response to their unspoken questions. Whatever came next, Hawthorne knew that the fate of not just humanity, but perhaps all of reality, now rested in their hands. Hands. The crystal's pulsing intensified, bathing the chamber in an otherworldly glow. Before anyone could react, a wave of energy swept through the station and the surrounding fleet. Captain Hawthorne blinked, his eyes adjusting to the unfamiliar starscape beyond the viewports. The celestial bodies were arranged in patterns he'd never seen before, confirming his suspicion that they had indeed crossed dimensional boundaries. "Status report," he barked, turning to his crew. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over her console. "Sir, communications are down. Navigation systems are offline. We're essentially flying blind." Dr. Rice hunched over his instruments, brow furrowed in concentration. "The station is emitting powerful energy pulses. They're interfering with our systems." Hawthorne felt a sudden pressure in his head, accompanied by a flood of fragmented images. He saw worlds aflame, ethereal creatures tearing through the fabric of reality, civilizations crumbling to dust. The visions vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving him gasping. "Captain!" Lieutenant Chen's concerned voice cut through the haze. Hawthorne steadied himself against a nearby console. I'm fine. It's the neural link with the station. I think I saw the Void Seekers attacking other worlds. The Elysian commander chittered nervously, its tentacles writhing. We must return to our own dimension immediately. Our people are in danger. Before Hawthorne could respond, a high-pitched beep emanated from one of the consoles. Chen's eyes widened as she studied the readout. Sir, we're picking up a distress signal. It's coming from a nearby planet. Can you get a fix on it? Hawthorne asked, moving to her side. Chen nodded, adjusting the controls. Yes, sir. The signal identifies the senders as the Zarklon. They claim to be under attack. Grand Admiral Zorbax, the Elysian Fleet Commander, stepped forward. Captain Hawthorne, I must strongly advise against investigating. We know nothing about this dimension or its inhabitants. Our priority should be returning to our own space. Hawthorne considered the Elysian's words, weighing them against the urgency of the distress call. After a moment, he shook his head. We can't ignore a cry for help, Admiral. If these Zarklon are under attack by the Void Seekers, we might be their only hope. He turned to his helmsman. Set a course for the source of that distress signal. All ships, form up and prepare for potential hostile contact. As the fleet approached the Zarklon homeworld, a horrifying sight greeted them. Vast swarms of translucent, shape-shifting creatures swarmed around the planet. They pulsed with an otherworldly energy, their forms constantly shifting and reforming. My God, Dr. Rice whispered, his face pale as he studied the sensor readings. Those energy patterns, they match what we saw in the precursor's historical records. Those are Void Seekers. The fleet watched in horror as the Void Seekers systematically drained the life force from the planet below. Massive energy weapons fired from the surface, but the beams passed harmlessly through the ethereal invaders. The Zarklon's weapons are ineffective, Chen reported, her voice tight with tension. Their planetary shields are failing. Estimated time to total collapse, 15 minutes. Hawthorne's mind raced, searching for a solution. Suddenly, Dr. Rice's excited voice cut through his thoughts. Captain, I've been analyzing the data from the station and the attack. The Void Seekers seem to be attracted to high concentrations of energy, particularly the type generated by advanced civilizations. The doctor's eyes lit up with realization. That's why the precursors built the station. It's designed to act as a lure, drawing the Void Seekers away from populated worlds. Hawthorne nodded, a plan forming in his mind. Lieutenant Chen, have all ships power up their seventh-dimensional drives, create localized energy fields similar to what we used during the portal stabilization. The human ships sprang into action, their drives humming to life. Shimmering fields of energy blossomed around each vessel, pulsing with power. Almost immediately, a group of Void Seekers broke away from the planet, drawn to the new energy source. Encouraged by the success, Hawthorne opened a channel to the Elysian fleet. Admiral Zorbax, can your ships emulate our energy fields? We need to draw as many of these things away from the planet as possible. There was a moment of hesitation before the Elysian commander responded. We will attempt to modify our propulsion systems to match your output, Captain. I hope you know what you're doing. As the combined human-Elysian fleet maneuvered around the planet, their energy fields blazing, more and more Void Seekers were pulled away from the surface. The Zarklon took advantage of the respite, launching massive evacuation ships into orbit. Hawthorne watched the operation unfold, his hands clenched tightly behind his back. They were buying time, but they couldn't keep this up indefinitely. Already, several ships were reporting power fluctuations as the Void Seekers probed their defenses. Dr. Rice, he called out, please tell me you've found something in the station's systems that can help us fight these things. Rice looked up from his console, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. I think I have, Captain. The station has a weapon capable of generating bursts of transdimensional energy. In theory, it should be able to disrupt the Void Seekers' energy matrices. In theory? Hawthorne pressed. Rice swallowed hard. The power requirements are enormous. Firing the weapon risks overloading the station's systems, and we have no way of knowing how effective it will be. Hawthorne looked out at the swarm of Void Seekers surrounding their fleet. More were arriving every second, drawn by the combined energy output of their ships and the station. They were rapidly running out of options. "Do it," he ordered. "Fire the weapon." Rice nodded grimly and began the firing sequence. The crystal at the heart of the station pulsed with increasing intensity, energy arcing between its facets. A low hum filled the air, building to a deafening roar. "Brace for impact," Hawthorne shouted, gripping his command chair. A blinding flash erupted from the station, followed by a shockwave of pure energy. It swept through the Void Seekers, causing their ethereal forms to waver and distort. Many simply vanished, their energy matrices torn apart by the transdimensional burst. But the victory came at a cost. Alarms blared throughout the station as systems overloaded and shut down. Outside, several human and Elysian ships spun out of control, their systems fried by the energy discharge. As the light faded and the dust settled, Hawthorne surveyed the damage. "Status report," he croaked, his throat dry. Chen's voice was grim as she responded. "Multiple ships disabled, sir. We've lost a third of our fleet. The station's primary systems are offline, but the Void Seekers in our immediate vicinity have been neutralized." Before Hawthorne could respond, a new signal cut through the chaos. "Captain," Chen called out, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the haggard face of Admiral Ramirez, head of the IAC. "Captain Hawthorne, thank God we've re-established contact. We have a situation here. The Void Seekers. They're attacking multiple sectors of the Milky Way." Hawthorne's blood ran cold as Ramirez continued. "We've deployed Dr. Strout's weaponized seventh-dimensional technology, but it's only marginally effective. We need you back here, now." As Ramirez's words sank in, a new transmission entered the channel. The screen split, revealing a being unlike any Hawthorne had ever seen. Its body seemed to be composed of flowing energy, contained within a vaguely humanoid form. "Greetings, Defenders," the being spoke, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "I am Zarklon Prime, leader of our people. We owe you a debt of gratitude for your intervention." Hawthorne nodded respectfully. "We're glad we could help. I only wish we could have done more." The Zarklon leader's form shimmered with what might have been a sad smile. "This is not the first time our civilization has faced the Void Seekers. We have ancient records speaking of cyclical invasions. Perhaps together, we can find a way to end this threat once and for all." As Hawthorne contemplated their next move, torn between the urgent need to defend Earth and the potential for uncovering a permanent solution, the alien station suddenly hummed to life. A holographic map of the galaxy materialized in the center of the chamber, dotted with countless points of light representing inhabited worlds. To Hawthorne's horror, these lights began to flicker and die one by one, a visual representation of the Void Seekers' devastating advance. But before despair could take hold, a new point of light caught his attention. At the very heart of the galaxy, a massive energy signature pulsed, dwarfing even the power of the alien station. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed as he studied the map. Whatever was waiting for them at the galactic core, he had a feeling it held the key to ending this invasion once and for all. The question was, could they reach it in time? Time before the Void Seekers overwhelmed them all. Hawthorne's mind raced, weighing the options before him. Earth needed their help, but this energy signature at the galactic core could be the key to ending the invasion once and for all. He made his decision. "Admiral Ramirez, we've discovered a potential game-changer. There's an immense energy source at the galactic center that might be our best hope against the Void Seekers. We're setting course for it now." Ramirez's face tightened with concern. "Understood, Captain. Godspeed." Hawthorne turned to address the assembled leaders. "Grand Admiral Zorbax, Zarklon Prime, we need your help. This mission could decide the fate of all our civilizations." The Elysian and Zarklon leaders exchanged glances before nodding their agreement. Hawthorne wasted no time. "Dr. Rice, can we use the station's propulsion systems to reach the galactic core?" Rice's fingers flew over the controls. Yes, but we'll need to augment it with our ship's seventh dimensional drives. It's risky, but it's our best shot at covering that distance quickly. Do it, Hawthorne ordered. He opened a channel to the fleet. All ships prepare for immediate departure. Coordinate your dimensional drives with the station. As the fleet made final preparations, Hawthorne felt the alien station hum to life beneath his feet. The massive structure began to move, accompanied by the combined power of dozens of starships. Space itself seemed to bend around them as they accelerated to impossible speeds. Their journey took them past world after world besieged by void seekers. Hawthorne couldn't ignore the plight of these civilizations. "We can't save them all," he muttered, "but we can buy them time." He implemented a hit-and-run strategy, using the station's transdimensional weapon to disrupt void seeker attacks on populated planets. Each intervention drained precious power from their systems, but the grateful faces of the saved made it worthwhile. During one such rescue, they encountered the Etherii, an avian species with an uncanny ability to manipulate energy fields. Their shimmering, feathered forms moved with grace as they demonstrated their skills, effortlessly repelling void seekers with intricate energy webs. "Captain," the Etherii leader chirped, her iridescent plumage rippling. "We owe you our lives. Allow us to join your quest and repay this debt." Hawthorne gladly accepted, and soon a team of Etherii specialists was integrated into their expedition, their unique abilities proving invaluable in strengthening the fleet's defenses. As they pushed deeper into the galaxy, Dr. Rice made a startling discovery. "Captain," he called out, excitement evident in his voice. "The energy readings from the galactic core. They're similar to the precursor station, but exponentially more powerful." Hawthorne leaned over the console, studying the data. "What does it mean, Doctor?" "It could be a superweapon," Rice speculated, "or perhaps a massive portal. Whatever it is, I'd bet my life the precursors built it to combat the Void Seekers." Their progress came to an abrupt halt as they encountered a colossal energy barrier spanning several light years. It pulsed with an otherworldly glow, and beyond it, their sensors detected a massive concentration of Void Seekers. As the fleet attempted to penetrate the barrier, Hawthorne received another vision through his neural link with the station. Fragmented images flashed through his mind. Precursors constructing the barrier, countless void seekers contained within, and the gradual weakening of the energy field over millennia. "It's a containment system," Hawthorne realized aloud. "The precursors trapped the bulk of the void seeker invasion force behind this barrier. But it's failing, allowing small groups to slip through and attack the galaxy." Grand Admiral Zorbax's tentacles writhed with agitation. "Then we must breach the barrier and destroy them all at once." Dr. Rice shook his head vehemently. "No, breaking through could release the full invasion force. We need a more subtle approach." He paused, considering. "Perhaps we could use the precursor station to interface with the barrier, create a safe passage for us." As they debated their next move, an urgent transmission from Earth cut through their deliberations. Admiral Ramirez's hologram flickered into view, his face haggard and drawn. "The attacks have intensified," he reported grimly. "We've lost multiple worlds already. Strout's dimensional tech is holding them back, but we're running out of time." The transmission terminated abruptly as alarms blared throughout the station. Lieutenant Chen's voice rang out, filled with terror. "Massive energy signature detected. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." A void seeker of unprecedented size materialized near the fleet. Its form rippled and pulsed, dwarfing even the largest ships in their armada. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, effortlessly draining power from several vessels. "Evasive maneuvers," Hawthorne shouted. "Divert all power to dimensional drives. Create a network of energy fields." The fleet scattered, weaving complex patterns through space. Shimmering energy barriers sprang up between ships, creating a labyrinth of light that seemed to confuse the massive entity. As the battle raged, Dr. Rice and the Etherii specialists worked feverishly to interface the precursor station with the energy barrier. Sweat beaded on Rice's brow as he manipulated the alien controls. "We need to synchronize the station's output with the barrier's frequency," he muttered. "It's our only chance of getting through." The massive Void Seeker, the Apex Seeker as the crew had begun to call it, redoubled its assault. Several key ships, including Elysian and Zarklon vessels, suffered critical damage. Grand Admiral Zorbax's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain Hawthorne, we cannot withstand this assault much longer. My remaining ships will form a defensive perimeter around your station. Complete your work quickly." Hawthorne watched in awe as the Elysian vessels moved into position, their energy weapons blazing defiantly against the Apex Seeker. The Zarklon ships joined them, creating a barrier of their own to shield the precursor station. "How much longer, Doctor?" Hawthorne demanded, gripping his command chair as the station shuddered under a near miss. "Almost there," Rice called back, his fingers dancing across the alien interface. The etheri around him trilled in harmony, their energy manipulation abilities amplifying the station's output. The Apex Seeker surged forward, its massive form distorting space around it. It seemed to sense that its prey was about to escape and prepared for a final, devastating attack. Just as all hope seemed lost, Dr. Rice shouted in triumph, "We've done it!" A shimmering portal materialized before them, offering passage through the energy barrier. Hawthorne didn't hesitate. "All ships, make for the portal. Move!" The surviving vessels of their once mighty fleet limped toward the gateway, the Apex Seeker in hot pursuit. Hawthorne felt the precursor station groan around him as it poured the last of its energy reserves into maintaining the portal. As they raced toward their only hope of survival, Hawthorne realized that this was merely the beginning. Whatever lay beyond that barrier, be it a precursor superweapon or something beyond their imagining, would determine not just their fate, but that of the entire galaxy. The Apex Seeker closed in, its tendrils of dark energy reaching for the fleeing ships. Hawthorne gritted his teeth, silently willing the station to move faster. The portal loomed before them, a shimmering lifeline in the vastness of space. "Brace for transit," Hawthorne shouted as the precursor station plunged into the gateway, the remnants of their fleet close behind. The Apex Seeker's furious screech echoed through space as the portal began to close, cutting off its pursuit. In a blinding flash of light, they were through. As his eyes adjusted to the new surroundings, Hawthorne's breath caught in his throat. Before them lay the true heart of the galaxy, and with it, perhaps, the key to humanity's survival. Survival and the fate of entire civilizations across the galaxy. The moment they emerged from the portal, Hawthorne's eyes widened at the sight before him. A colossal ring world floated in the void, its massive structure pulsing with energy that dwarfed even the precursor station. The sheer scale of it was breathtaking, stretching as far as the eye could see. "My God," Dr. Rice breathed, his face illuminated by the soft glow of his console. "That's the source of the energy signature we detected. It's incredible." Hawthorne felt a sudden influx of information flood his mind through his neural link with the precursor station. Images and data streamed into his consciousness, revealing the true nature of the megastructure before them. "It's called the Nexus," Hawthorne announced, his voice filled with awe. "It's not just a weapon. It's the precursor's ultimate creation and their final refuge against the Void Seekers." As Hawthorne shared the information with his crew, the fleet cautiously approached the Nexus. Suddenly, warning klaxons blared throughout the ship. "Automated defenses detected," Lieutenant Chen called out. "They're powering up." Hawthorne tensed, ready to order evasive maneuvers, but Dr. Rice's voice cut through the tension. "Wait, I think I can deactivate them. The precursor station's data. There's a signal frequency we can use." Working feverishly with the Etherii energy specialists, Rice input a complex series of commands. A beam of energy pulsed from the precursor station, bathing the Nexus in a soft, shimmering light. The automated defenses powered down, allowing the fleet safe passage. As they docked with the megastructure, Hawthorne led a team to explore its interior. The corridors were vast, lined with technology beyond their comprehension. They hadn't gone far when they encountered the last thing they expected: life. A small group of beings approached, led by a hovering, crystalline construct. Its voice resonated in their minds as it spoke. "I am Overseer. We are the last of the precursor lineage, guardians of the Nexus." Overseer explained the dire situation. The Nexus's power source was failing, weakening the barrier that held back the main Void Seeker force. But there was hope. The precursors had foreseen this possibility and left behind a plan to recharge and upgrade the Nexus using a combination of their technology and advancements from younger races. Dr. Rice's eyes lit up with excitement. Our seventh-dimensional drive technology? It could be the key to powering up the Nexus. Hawthorne nodded, turning to address the assembled leaders. "We need to pool our resources and knowledge. Every race, every technology we have, it all needs to go into repairing and enhancing the Nexus." Grand Admiral Zorbax's tentacles rippled in agreement. "The Elysian Confederation stands ready to assist." The Zarklon and Etheri leaders echoed their support, and soon, a massive operation was underway. Dr. Rice led a diverse team of scientists and engineers, working tirelessly to integrate their various technologies with the ancient precursor systems. Days passed in a blur of activity. Progress was slow but steady, each small victory bringing them closer to their goal. But as they worked, a new threat loomed. "Captain!" Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive Void Seeker activity beyond the barrier. It's the Apex Seeker. It's coordinating an attack to weaken the barrier." Hawthorne's mind raced. They needed more time to complete the Nexus repairs. In that moment, he made a decision that would change everything. "We need to buy time," he announced, his voice grim but determined. "I'm going to take the precursor station beyond the barrier. We'll use it as a lure, draw their attention away from their assault on the barrier." The room erupted in protests. Dr. Rice stepped forward, his face pale. "James, it's suicide. The odds of survival are better with me piloting the station," Hawthorne interrupted. "My neural link gives us the best chance of success." Despite continued objections, Hawthorne assembled a small, elite team for the mission. As they prepared to depart, Dr. Rice approached with a small device in his hands. "This prototype might disrupt the Apex Seeker's energy matrix," he explained, his voice heavy with concern. "But James, using it could have consequences we can't predict. Be careful." Hawthorne nodded, accepting the device. With a final look at the Nexus and his gathered allies, he boarded the precursor station. The massive structure disengaged from the Nexus, moving towards the shimmering barrier that separated them from the Void Seeker threat. As they passed through the barrier, the true scale of the danger became apparent. Swarms of Void Seekers filled the space before them, their dark forms writhing in anticipation. And there, at the center of the chaos, loomed the Apex Seeker. Hawthorne's hands flew over the controls, his mind interfacing directly with the station systems. All weapons online, defensive systems at maximum. The precursor station erupted with energy, its weapons lashing out at the approaching Void Seekers. The space around them became a maelstrom of light and shadow as they engaged in a desperate battle to hold the attention of the cosmic horrors. Back at the Nexus, the combined team of scientists and engineers worked with renewed urgency. The ancient system slowly came back to life, powered by the ingenious integration of multiple advanced technologies. But they were far from finished, and the destiny of the universe now rested on Captain Hawthorne's ability to keep the Void Seekers at bay. As the battle raged on, Hawthorne clutched Dr. Rice's prototype device, wondering if and when he would need to use it. The Apex Seeker loomed ever closer, its massive form distorting the very fabric of space around it. The precursor station shuddered under the assault, and Hawthorne knew that their time was running out. In the heart of the Nexus, Dr. Rice watched the long-range sensors with growing dread. "Come on, James," he muttered. "Hold on just a little longer. We're almost there." The fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance as the battle beyond the barrier intensified. The race to bring the Nexus online continued, each passing moment bringing them closer to either salvation or annihilation. Utter annihilation. The tension aboard the Nexus was palpable as Dr. Rice and his team of scientists worked feverishly to integrate their technologies. "We're close," Dr. Rice muttered, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces. "The seventh-dimensional drive is aligning with the Nexus's core systems." A Zarklon engineer chittered excitedly, its multifaceted eyes gleaming. Energy output increasing exponentially. "We're tapping directly into the galactic core." The entire structure began to hum with power, the walls pulsing with a soft, ethereal light. Dr. Rice felt a surge of hope as readings across his instruments spiked. Meanwhile, beyond the barrier, Captain Hawthorne and his team found themselves in the fight of their lives. The precursor station bucked and shuddered under the relentless assault of the Void Seekers. "Evasive pattern delta," Hawthorne barked, his mind interfacing directly with the station's systems. The neural link sent searing pain through his skull, but he pushed through it. Lieutenant Chen's voice came over the comms, strained but determined. "Sir, we're surrounded. The Apex Seeker is closing fast." Hawthorne's mind raced. They needed a way to break the encirclement, to buy just a few more precious moments. An idea struck him, dangerous and potentially brilliant. "Everyone, brace yourselves," he shouted, initiating rapid spatial jumps. The precursor station's seventh-dimensional drive roared to life. Space itself seemed to fold and unfold around them as they executed a series of lightning-fast jumps. One moment, they were in the heart of the Void Seeker swarm. The next, they were hundreds of kilometers away. The maneuver had the desired effect. The Void Seekers, even with their otherworldly senses, couldn't track the station's erratic movements. But the cost was high. Each jump sent fresh waves of agony through Hawthorne's neural link. He could feel blood trickling from his nose, his vision blurring at the edges. "Sir," Chen called out, "the Apex Seeker, it's adapting to our pattern." Hawthorne looked up to see the massive form of the Apex Seeker bearing down on them, its dark tendrils reaching out across space. He knew it was now or never. With trembling hands, he activated Dr. Rice's prototype device. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then a pulse of energy unlike anything Hawthorne had ever seen erupted from the device. The waves struck the Apex Seeker, and for the first time, Hawthorne saw the cosmic horror falter. Its form wavered, becoming translucent and unstable. "All power to the main weapon," Hawthorne ordered, his voice hoarse. "Fire everything we've got." The precursor station's primary weapon systems came online, drawing energy from the very fabric of spacetime. A beam of concentrated energy, blindingly bright, lanced out and struck the destabilized core of the Apex Seeker. For a moment, it seemed as if the universe itself held its breath. Then, with a silent scream that resonated through dimensions, the Apex Seeker began to disintegrate. The resulting explosion was beyond anything Hawthorne had witnessed in his years of space exploration. The precursor station was buffeted by waves of energy, its systems overloading and shutting down one by one. "Propulsion offline," Chen reported, fighting to be heard over the blaring alarms. "We're dead in space." As the crew fought to regain control of the station, they watched in awe as the Apex Seeker's massive form dispersed into the void, leaving behind nothing but scattered remnants of dark energy. Back at the Nexus, Dr. Rice and his team were on the verge of a breakthrough. The megastructure's systems were coming online, each new activation sending pulses of energy through its vast framework. "We've done it!" Dr. Rice exclaimed, his face illuminated by the glow of success. "The Nexus is drawing power directly from the galactic core." Just then, an alarm sounded. An Ethereal communication specialist trilled urgently. "We've lost contact with Captain Hawthorne's team." Grand Admiral Zorbax, who had been overseeing the defense of the Nexus, made a swift decision. "Prepare a rescue fleet immediately. We will not abandon those who have fought so bravely for us all." As Zorbax's ship sped towards Hawthorne's last known position, the Nexus reached full activation. the megastructure blazed with energy, a sight so magnificent it defied description. Suddenly, a wave of pure energy erupted from the Nexus. It expanded outward at impossible speeds, washing over Zorbax's fleet without harm. But as it encountered the remaining Void Seekers, the effect was devastating. The cosmic horrors simply ceased to exist, their otherworldly forms unable to withstand the purifying energy. Zorbax's fleet arrived at the coordinates of the precursor station, finding it battered but intact. As they began towing operations, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The energy wave from the Nexus was spreading, eradicating every trace of the Void Seekers. Aboard the damaged precursor station, Hawthorne drifted in and out of consciousness. The neural link had taken a severe toll on his body and mind. As the rescue teams rushed him and his crew to the advanced medical facilities aboard the Nexus, he caught glimpses of the transformed galaxy around them. Days later, Hawthorne awoke in a medical bay unlike any he had seen before. Dr. Rice stood nearby, a relieved smile on his face. "Welcome back, Captain," Rice said warmly. "You'll be pleased to know that your insane plan actually worked. The Void Seekers are gone, not just here, but across the entire galaxy." Hawthorne tried to sit up, wincing at the lingering pain. "The Nexus?" "Fully operational," Rice replied, "and that's just the beginning. The Overseer has offered to share precursor knowledge with all allied races. We're on the cusp of a new era, James." As Hawthorne recovered, representatives from Earth and countless other worlds arrived at the Nexus. The once fractious species, united by their shared victory, now looked to the future with hope and curiosity. In a vast chamber aboard the Nexus, Captain Hawthorne stood before the assembled delegates. The atmosphere was charged with possibility as he began to speak. We have faced an enemy that threatened not just our individual worlds, but the very fabric of our galaxy," Hawthorne said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "In doing so, we have discovered that our greatest strength lies not in our individual abilities, but in our capacity to work together." He paused, looking out at the diverse faces before him. Human, Elysian, Zarklon, Etheri, and dozens of other species he was only just beginning to know. "I propose that we formalize this unity," Hawthorne continued, "a galactic council to manage the Nexus and foster cooperation among all sentient species. Together, we can ensure that the peace we've won is not squandered." The chamber erupted in applause and expressions of agreement from various species. Even the Elysians, once dismissive of humanity, nodded their approval. As the newly formed council began its work, the Nexus activated a massive holographic display. It showed countless worlds, some healing from the Void Seeker invasion, others reaching out to the stars for the first time. The galaxy, once fragmented and fearful, now pulsed with the promise of a united future. Hawthorne stood at the heart of it all, marveling at how far they had come. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and discoveries yet unimagined. But as he looked at the faces of his new allies, human and alien alike, he knew that whatever the universe might throw at them, they would face it together.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.